So I'm sure you've heard it time and time again. People say it all the time. I've heard it ever since I was a kid that cash is king, cash is king. But I'd like to invite you to maybe think a little bit differently about that. I don't think cash is king, but I do believe cash flow is king. If you think about cash, it's a highly destructible form of currency, right? If you had cash and you buried it in your backyard, it could mold. Animals could get to it. Cash by itself, it can be ripped, it can be torn, it can be, you can set it on fire. So it's a highly destructible form of currency. If you put that cash, you had a bunch of it or a chunk of it or whatever, and you put that in a bank, you've got the risk of it basically eroding from the inside out because it may not keep up with inflation. So cash by itself is not king, but cash flow is the king. And so I'm going to do a quick example where in this example we're just going to assume that you had 30 years left of working, okay, and you made $120,000 a year, and then we're also going to make one assumption in this example that every year you're getting a 3% increase on your salary, or your 3% increase on your base pay, okay, and again, just to keep up with inflation. So if you look here, what this graph is showing us is over 30 years, okay, at $120,000 a year, you're going to accumulate $5.7 million. Not even accumulate. Your $5.7 million is going to pass through your checking account. $5.7 million will go through your accounts, okay? And if you've watched any of my other videos, I'm a big fan of not putting that money into your checking account. I'm a big fan of paying yourself first, using a reservoir account. That way, if you pay yourself first, you can then begin to manage where this money goes. Now, the reason I even say, pay yourself first is if we just took the $120,000, they've got a term out there, elite saver or super saver, okay? That is someone that is saving 15, 20% or more off of their annual income. So in this example, if we had $120,000, 15% of that would be $18,000 on a yearly basis that, again, you're paying yourself first to have these future investments. So a really quick financial calculator is if you just looked and said, okay, if you started with nothing, maybe you haven't, in this example, saved anything before, but in this example, at the end of that first year, you paid yourself first and you were able to save an elite savers amount of $18,000. Okay, the numbers can change. Again, I'm not too concerned with the numbers. This is just an illustration and an example. You can always plug your numbers in to see what it's going to do. But if you took $18,000, you paid yourself first, you got a 6% growth rate. Again, I'm not going to go into, you can't get more than 6, you can only get 5. Okay, that's fine. Put in whatever number that you want. But at a 6% growth rate for 30 years, that's a future value of $1.5 million. So I don't know an easier way to show that cash flow is king over cash.